folks. This is the last and final pregame breakdown for this season. So thank you for choosing to join us once again this morning as well as we break down the Celebration Bowl. And honestly, what a better way to get ready for the Celebration Bowl than to, be with you guys, of course, and have Batman Begins playing in the background because there's literally nothing on TV to start the day off. But other than that, other than the fact that I wish I was in Atlanta, of course, right now. Haven't been to Atlanta for a FAMU game since honestly 2008. It's been long overdue, but we will be there to start the season off against Norfolk State next year, and we've made it here towards the end. So, of course, as you know, we're going to talk about everything this morning as follows. An old foe from the MEAC does come calling today, and we're going to discuss it. We're going to talk about what Willie Simmons said throughout the week and in the days leading up to the game. We're going to talk about your thoughts as well. We're going to take a look at Howard as we did for the last 2 weeks on Running Gun podcast. We're going to discuss basically what the future holds for next season, keys to victory today, score prediction, of course, and answering questions and the whole nine. So, as always, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, make sure that you do. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments in the comment section, of course, as well. We're taking every comment. Also, there will be a post-game recap for this game. There will be. That's the beautiful thing about not going to the games is being able to recap it. But as always, stay here. Don't go anywhere. Intro's next. We're going to roll it. We're going to get this going. It's Celebration Bowl Saturday. I'm fired up. Let's go. So, without further ado, you know what? Let's drop. Whoa, whoops, didn't mean to hit that one. Let's go ahead and dive right into it. So, as follows today, for Florida A&M, you come in after winning the SWAC title. You beat Prairie View 35-14, pounded them. And it was a lengthy process to get that SWAC title. But, championships don't normally come without a little bit of adversity, and that's perfectly fine. And then you factor in, there we go. That's a little bit, yeah, that's better. All right. Then, of course, for Howard, of course, your last game was back in November, same weekend as Florida Classic. So it was a win over Morgan State, 14-7. You hold on and you secure the MEAC title outright, and you punch your ticket to this game. Also, after destroying North Carolina Central, who was at the time the number 7 team in the country. So coming in, I can tell you now, Howard's not going to be afraid of rankings and seeing where you stand. Because FAMU is coming into this game. Yes. Glad to have you this morning with us, man. But yeah, Howard's not going to be intimidated by seeing, that number 5 ranking next to your name. They don't care about that. They realize now that they have the potential to beat top 10, top 5 teams. So they're going to be unafraid as well, too. So for FAMU, Willie Simmons stated they are closer to being fully healthy. Primarily when he said that, I'd look at guys like Cesar Reyes, who did not play in the SWAC championship. Not to mention as well, he also stated in his coaches show Monday, saying, we have to be dynamic in every facet of the game. So the biggest thing will be ball protection. Little things go a long way in a game like this. He's absolutely right. You look at every championship game leading up to this in years prior, whether it be the BCS, the playoff, or Celebration Bowls prior. Teams that normally win the turnover battle tend to win. Primary example, Florida State, 2014. Turned the ball over 5 times, got blown out and embarrassed. You gotta win the turnover battle today. Do not get behind in that. We have to stop the run. If we neutralize the run game, we have a chance. And quite honestly, as I will mention later, Howard has a 3-headed monster in their arsenal. We have experience in bowl environments thanks to the Orange Blossom Classic. Also, too, I think you can factor in the. Why does everybody think keeps it? Oh, is X working? Is Twitter working for the comment section? Because I'm seeing a lot of people from Twitter joining. So yeah, if it's working, by all means, give your thoughts. I'm seeing this now with people from X. So if you're on Twitter, I guess it is working. Hold up. There is hope for the future now. I can't wait to tell Ace about this. But I got off my sidetrack. Also, too, I think, playing in Raymond James and everything, and then playing in the Orange Blossom Classic, and now playing once again in another stadium, another NFL stadium, your third one of the year, proves to be very beneficial towards what you want to do going forward, and not being too big for you, I should say. And then as well too, he also stated, the MEAC will have something to prove, but our focus is to know what's at stake. And what does that mean? Honestly, a lot of people are looking at this as saying, the MEAC has dominated physically the SWAC in 6 out of the last 7 Celebration Bowls. The only one was Broderick Fobbs' star-studded Grambling team with Devontae Kincaid. And quite honestly, the MEAC's going to have something to prove still today, because now the narrative, even though a lot of people don't want to look at it, is you have a team that's not from the Carolinas, but instead from our nation's capital, that's coming in here, and the question is, can they get the job done? That's what it's about now, because every Celebration Bowl prior has featured one team from the Carolinas, from the MEAC. It's featured A&T, Central, or it was South Carolina State. Prior to that, no other team from Florida, Delaware, Virginia, really just the DMV had been featured in this game. So now this is a first for that. So with that being said, yes, I'm sure the MEAC is going to have a lot to prove in this game today. As well, too, you look at a guy like Charles McClellan, who's the SWAC commissioner. He's hoping, FAMU is that hired gun to get the job done. And we'll see. Also, too, for FAMU, you rushed for 229 yards in the SWAC championship. Terrell Jennings had 113 of those yards. And honestly speaking, he's gotten better and better and better and better as the years progressed. And I expect a big day from Terrell Jennings again. Defense had 3 turnovers in the SWAC championship. This is what I mean. If FAMU's defense can force that type of confusion and create turnovers, you have a chance. 2 of them from Javon Morgan, 1 of them from Deco Wilson. You held Prairie View to less than 100 yards passing wise, which is very impressive because, of course, Big Gentle Hunt fell right on Trajan Connolly. Didn't turn the ball over in the SWAC championship as well, so that's the other positive. Only 2 FCS teams have scored more than 20 points on FAMU this year. That was Texas Southern, who scored 21 because FAMU got off to that slow start, and then Alabama A&M, who scored 28 because honestly, it was just, I look back at it, it was a cold environment, and you're going against probably one of the low-key, one of the more physical teams today. Also, I'm going to read this comment first. Our front 7 has to eat today with that run game. It does, and it's absolutely critical because it takes pressure off Musa, even though I'm sure they're going to try to open it up for Musa today because they're playing finally for the first time this season inside of a dome. So yes, you want to open it up for Musa, let him do what he does. But at the same time, too, every quarterback's best friend is a rushing attack. And if Terrell Jennings and company can get going, that's a huge added bonus. And honestly, I'm getting Leland Woolhoy involved as well, along with, Kelvin Dean and Jaquez Yant. I'm loaded. I'm pounding the rock. I'm getting the rotation going, and whoever gets hot is the hot hand. And if it's Jennings, by all means, keep feeding him and don't stop feeding him. Let him plow through these guys, because he's proven time and time again. I'd take that man going up the gut against anybody. For FAMU as well, this is your first game in Atlanta since 2012. This is your first game inside Mercedes-Benz. You haven't played a game since you lost to Southern in the old Atlanta Football Classic. So it is critical that you get a good bearing of your surroundings, because this is not the old Georgia Dome, which you last played in. And honestly, too, Joe Taylor was the head coach the last time FAMU played a game in Atlanta. And the last time FAMU played a game in Atlanta and won. This is FAMU's first big-time bowl game in Atlanta since 1995 in the Heritage Bowl, where you lost to Southern. So there are some demons that need to be exercised and gotten out today. As well, too, you still are the number one defense in FCS football, top 10 in multiple defensive categories as you ended the regular season, despite what's going on in the FCS playoffs right now with Montana and North Dakota State and South Dakota State. You still have one of the top 10 defenses statistically in multiple categories in the FCS. Now, for Howard, it goes as follows. When you look back at their road to getting to this game, it's quite interesting. So they only lost to Northwestern by 3 points. Mind you also, Northwestern finished second in the Big Ten West behind Iowa, who had one of the worst offenses in FBS football, but one of the best defenses in FBS football. So Northwestern was not that far behind from playing in the Big Ten championship. So you have to give Howard their flowers with that. Their only other loss to Eastern Michigan was by 10 points. Eastern Michigan returned 2 kickoffs for touchdowns that kind of put that game at edge, or put it over the top and put it out of reach for Howard. They played with hunger when they beat the number 7 North Carolina Central team. They exposed NC Central and racked up 50 points. Held NC Central at 77 yards passing, and held NC Central to 121 yards rushing, which is not what you would expect. 521 yards of total offense for Howard in that game, 277 passing, 244 rushing. Jared Hunter and Casey Hawthorne both went over 100 yards in that game when they racked up 50 points. They also lead the nation in pass defense. Will load the box, however, as we've noticed. They will. I don't know why it's just saying joined. If you guys are actually so if you guys on X or on Twitter are actually like typing comments and it just says joined on my end, because this is all I'm getting for those of you that are on X that type, I'm only getting joined. So if you guys are actually typing things on X and it's not coming through on my end, go to YouTube and try to type, and then let's see what comes up. I don't know what's going on with that. So yeah, well, Javon already sees it. At Smooth, if you're trying to type something and it's not working, go to YouTube and try. And then same with you, Terrence. Try to go to YouTube and type. Also, too, the comment section is working on Facebook, so by all means try that too. Where was that? Yeah, they lead the nation in pass defense, but they will load the box. So what it really means to me is just, they load the box, try to create pressure, try to get quarterbacks off balance, and force quarterbacks to throw into mistakes. So that's going to be vital as well for Musa to check the protection and realize what he's facing and see where the blitz is coming from, see where it may be disguised and where it may show from and may come from in his blind spot. Also, too, this means his blind side blockers will have to be on point. Running backs like Terrell Jennings, Jaquez Yant, Kelvin Dean, and Leland Woolhoy will have to be tasked with picking up blindside blocks. As well, too, Howard does average 28 points per game according to ESPN. They outgained Morgan State in that last game, 382 yards to Morgan State's 260. Very physical bunch along the offensive line and very, very large, especially at the tackle position. They will present with a 4-2-5. They will show different looks. This is one of the best secondaries in the FCS. Aside from North Carolina Central, every conference game was a close call, though. So Norfolk State, close call. Delaware State, close call. Last game against Morgan State, close call. They've had some close calls. You have to, if you play them right, and you get gritty and you get up in their face and you hit them in the mouth multiple times, you can cause mistakes, I feel. They will run the option with Williams, Hunt, and James. James and Hunt will run the Wildcat look together. So what does that mean? Sometimes Quinn Williams will not be back there. Sometimes that means James Hunt or Eden James and Jarrett Hunter will both be back there together, and they'll just run the Wildcat with one another, or they'll run an option with one another. Another thing that's critical is to special teams. Watching some of Howard's past games, their special teams is a liability. Yeah, it is, and that's why I think they try to have so much firepower offensively, and they want to try to overwhelm you so much to where special teams doesn't even matter in the equation, because it's one of those things where it's like, for them, you got to try your damnedest to get 6 points every time. You got to try your damnedest to get 6 points. 3 points, as they realize, is not gonna do it for them. They're gonna live and die by trying to get 6, which is what everyone tries to do, of course, but you can't. Selling for 3 is not an option in most cases, which means, honestly, if it gets to a point in this game where if they're kicking 30-yard field goals and none of them are going through at some point, or if FAMU's just bringing the block and constantly getting pressure on it, it's like, okay, we may have to go away from this. And in those third and short situations, we're going to have to really rest on our morals and hope we get this, because if we don't, it could be a long day. And I don't think that they want to not capitalize on short fields. But if their special teams is a liability, of course, which honestly I think it is, and that's one thing I was going to hit on, because looking at the fact that their kickoff coverage got busted multiple times against Eastern Michigan, this is a game where Marcus Riley could have a big day. It is, and you have to take advantage of that. Also, only 3 penalties for 15 yards against Morgan State. So as far as players to watch, starting with FAMU, of course, Jeremy Musa on the season. These are seasonal stats, by the way. On the season, 2,604 yards, 19 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Has not thrown an interception, I think, since the Alabama A&M game, honestly. Also, Terrell Jennings, who's the leader in the clubhouse. Yep, it was. If you get a hat on a hat, and if Marcus Riley or Leland Woolhoyd or anybody finds a lane, bye. Also Terrell Jennings, 606 yards, 8 TDs. Marcus Riley, 621 yards, 5 TDs. Jamari Shareed, 441 yards, 2 touchdowns. Linebacker Isaiah Major, 89 total tackles on the year. Also your SWAC Defensive Player of the Year. I know that may piss some people off, but, it is what it is. Oh, well, get over it. It happened. It's over. 52 solo, 37 assists, 1 interception, 1 TD. Defensive back Javon Morgan, 3 interceptions, 31 total tackles, 16 solo out of those 31, and 15 assists out of those 31. And then also 2 linebacker Johnny Chaney, Jr., 47 total tackles this year. Out of the 47, he's got 23 solo and 24 assists. And then also 2 Anthony Dunn, who exploded onto the scene in last year's Florida Classic and kept it going. He was actually 5th, I believe, in the country in sacks at one point. 37 total tackles. 8 out of those 37, 18 were solo, 19 were assisted, and he still has 5 sacks. So, honestly, and then, let's switch it over now to Howard. Quentin Williams, who will be the quarterback that FAMU will be tasked with trying to stop today. And honestly, I will draw a comparison when I in a second. 2,158 yards, 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 110 yards rushing this year, 5 touchdowns on the ground. Running back Jarrett Hunter, 133 carries, 602 yards, 8 TDs. Eden James, who's the son of Edgerrin James, Pro Football Hall of Famer, 99 carries, 572 yards, 2 TDs. That is a scary dynamic duo that has to be contained today. Also, too, their star wide receiver, Casey Hawthorne, 35 receptions, 504 yards, 5 TDs. And then also their second leading receiver, Richie Lazara, 30 receptions, 300 yards, 1 TD. So they spread the wealth around, too, as well with passing. And then linebacker Terrence Holland is their big leader in the middle. There are 54 total tackles. Of those 54, 36 were solo, 18 were assisted. And then defensive back Kenneth Gallup Jr., 3 interceptions on the year, 58 total tackles. Of those 58 total tackles, 39 were solo, 19 were assisted. So there is star-studded firepower on both sides. So with that being said, I'm going to say this. You've played quarterbacks before in the past that resemble what Quinnen Williams wants to do. FAMU, I know a lot of the guys on this roster, they weren't around for Larry Brem when he was at Bethune, but a lot of these guys were around for a guy like Akevius Williams. When he was at Bethune, they were around for, Jalen Jones, who was the Florida transfer, who came to Bethune from Jackson State. You faced running quarterbacks before. You have experience with this, so you need to know how to spy. You have to know how to pick up the option. Who has the pitch man? Who has the quarterback? Who takes both guys in what scenario? So I would expect Howard to do things they haven't done all year, for one. Exactly. That's another one. Byron Brown, you've faced a quarterback that knows how to run. You did an excellent job of shutting him down. And that was probably about the most physical game aside from the Southern game all year. So you have seen guys that know how to run. You have seen pure pocket passers. You've played Shedeur in the past, so you know what to expect from a pure passer. You played Byron Brown. You know what to expect from a guy that's going to pass and run. You've been trained for this moment. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, you don't know what I'm doing now, but later on you will know. So you've seen it. You know what to expect from it. And I can guarantee you, even though whatever folks that don't live in Florida want to say, I do not think Quinnen Williams is a better quarterback than Byron Brown. I just don't. And say what you want to say about USF, but USF's not the same team they were in 2022 and 2023. They are a lot better. And honestly, I think this year's FAMU team would have beaten last year's USF team. That's how much better USF got. Although certain people outside of Florida want to say, oh, well, that's the Florida School for the Blind, which, yeah, okay, folks from North Carolina, that's a bunch of horse shit, so you can shut up and give your opinion elsewhere. But with that being said as well, also two MEAC officials will be calling this game. This is a battle of the number 2 and number 3 public HBCUs, according to USA Today and World News. So with that being said, I can go ahead and dive into the questions. I don't know why I keep saying joined. I think those of you that are watching on X, if you want to leave a comment, go to YouTube. Also, too, will Kamala Harris be in attendance? As that rumor already came out. I was going to kind of speculate about that, but she will be in attendance for this game. So this is probably one of the most secure places in the country in Atlanta today. I believe it's Spelman. It's either Spelman or it's Morehouse, or they might be tied for first. That's the only one I could think of, honestly. That's the only one because of I don't want to say that more heavier emphasis on education, but I would assume it's got to be Spelman and Morehouse tied at first. That's unless. Yeah, I think it has to be. It would have to be. There's no other ones that could be higher. Because it ain't Clark. Yeah, it's not Clark. But honestly, yes, I do think, yes, Kamala Harris is going to be in attendance today because one, I shouldn't say this, but she does want to root on Howard. At the same time, too, what is 2024? What does 2024 mean for Kamala Harris and Joe Biden? It's an election year, so both of them, we better hit that campaign trail. And her being seen at an event like this helps out a ton. So honestly, the best thing that could have happened is Howard making this game, because now it's like, yeah, I'm going to the capital of Black excellence, and I'm gonna let my face be seen. So yeah, that's just my opinion of it. It is an election year coming up. She needs all the help she can get. I'm not into politics like that, but if you do with that what you may. But also, she's going to have a good time and enjoy the game. Plus, she's an AKA. No, yeah, she is an AKA, I believe. Someone correct me on that. I'm not entirely sure. How will Howard react to the press clippings? But honestly, I'm actually impressed with the fact that I thought FAMU was going to get all the press throughout the whole week. It has not been that way, or throughout the whole 2 weeks. It has not been that way. The majority of the talk has been, FAMU, you're going into this game. The SWAC's record has not been that great against the MEAC. The MEAC has been so dominant, and a lot of people are saying, Howard will win the Celebration Bowl by 6. Howard's going to run FAMU out of the building. Howard is so much more physical. But then you had a clip from HBCU Nightly where you had Buddy P1 saying this is more so of a MEAC versus MEAC matchup. He's right. Because honestly, aside from Deion Sanders, as Ace has mentioned multiple times on the Running Gun podcast, if those are prior episodes as well, if you want to go back and look at them, there's only been one thorn in the side of FAMU. It was Deion Sanders, who you caught at the beginning of the season, so you didn't really know what to expect. Both times. And you finally got the monkey off your back this past year. Is the upset possible for Howard? Look, anything can happen. Howard's going to come into this game thinking that they can play with FAMU because they're not afraid. They've already beaten one top 10 HBCU. They feel they can do it again. How does this defense rattle Musa? Do what you've been doing the whole year. Load the box, bring pressure, and then let this top-rated secondary do what they do, which will pose to be a challenge today for the Dark Cloud defense. As well, too, why must this team stay focused? It goes back to what Willie Simmons was mentioning about Rudy Hubbard. Keep the main thing the main thing. Don't be bigger than the moment. That's what you have to do in order to stay focused. I get it. You went to the College Football Hall of Fame. You got to see all these things. You had all these dinners, and you had all these other activities going on and stuff, but you have to still maintain focus and keep the main thing the main thing. It's cool and calm and collected. It's cool. It's all right to be like loose and laugh, but when push comes to shove, those minutes leading up to kickoff, it's time to dial in. And I think that this team has done that. They've learned from their mistakes before with the Orange Blossom Classic and everything like that. And this is not the same team that it was when Willie Simmons took over. So they've grown in excess. So I think they'll be ready. How do you make sure not to expend your energy too soon? So I'm not sure entirely how the Celebration Bowl works, but I'm going to go based off of just like knowing how Super Bowls work. With Super Bowls, it's always, you have moments where you think you're coming out to play, then you're not, and then you go back in, then you come back out, and then you have the longer half times, you have the longer pregame build up and everything such as that. So I think the main thing with the championship environment is to not let your emotions get you too riled up too soon. Know when to shut it down, know when to charge it back up. It might take a little bit longer. It probably will, because this game is on ABC and it's a nationally broadcast game. You have the whole entire world watching at this point now, versus it's not your typical ESPN2, ESPN, or ESPN3 or ESPN Plus. This is national television, widely known national television. You're literally coming on after Robin Roberts and Good Morning America. That's how big this is. So I think you have to control the emotions. Coach always told me emotions only last but for so long in a game like this. So if you can control it and not expend it too soon, you should be fine. Is this rushing attack due for a big day? Look, honestly, I think if you can get past that front seven of Howard, who will try to load the box, if you can get outside and try to win running east and west, which I think FAMU does have a faster offense than Howard's defense, if you can get to the edges and attack the edges like you did against Jackson State where you had success, I think you have a chance to win today. How vital is usage of tight ends in a game like this? Play action passes to tight ends will be very vital. Jeremiah Pruitt, Kamari Young both have to come through. Kobe Gross as well. All three have to come through in a big way leading up to this or in today's game. How does this defense stop Quentin Williams? Simply put, guys like Isaiah Major, Eric Horn, Johnny Chaney, Anthony Dunn, get a hat on a hat, especially in that option game. Someone has to take the pitch man. And someone has to take the QB, someone's got to take the running back. Every time he comes down that line to option it, if he does, because at some point you will see the option, Quentin Williams has to get hit. Within the rules of the game, don't get thrown out for targeting, but Quentin Williams has to pay the price when he comes down that line to pitch. Or even an RPO action. You got to know where he is at all times. Even if it's Eden James and Jarrett Hunter lined up back there, still. Quentin Williams will be on the field somewhere. It may be a double pass of some sort, knowing what he's going to do. Like I said, Howard's going to make some plays. They're going to do things that are out of the nature. It's a championship game. You got to pull out all the stops. But it's how well do you film study? How well is your eye discipline? All that is critical for today. What do you think of the 3 keys to victory? I'm going to get to that in a second, actually. Be patient. I'm going to get to that in a second. Also, too, for Howard, will they throw the kitchen sink at FAMU? I think they will, as I just stated. As well, too, how does this wide receiving core match up with Howard's secondary? I think it's a heck of a matchup. You have to win your one-on-one individual battles. The good thing is, Nick Dixon's been reliable all year. He's been excellent. Marcus Riley's been excellent. Jamari Gassett's been excellent. Jamari Shareed's been excellent. David Manigo, for a guy like him, it's time. This is the last hurrah for you. It's time. You have to make a play here. There's no you can't have mental relapses. You can't have mental brain farts here. It's time. You have to dial in and be that extra reliable target. So when it gets to be third and short situations, a 3rd and 4 where you need it and you're running an out route, you have to come up with it. You have to. You have to be physical going for jump balls to just for one day, please. You have to. Because you never know. If he's not, that could be the difference between winning and losing a game. I hate to put it on one person, but it's going to take that collective effort of everybody, fighting for deep balls, making those difficult catches, converting 3rd and shorts, converting those 4th and shorts, winning the line of scrimmage, all that stuff. Those little things are going to go a huge way. And now I guess I can't get my keys to victory. So key to victory number 1 is as follows. Establish the run, take the pressure off Musa. If Terrell Jennings and company gets going, I think you have an excellent shot of asserting your dominance in this one. Key to victory number 2, simply put, contain Williams and neutralize the running back duo of James and Jarrett Hunter. If you can stop that trifecta, I think you have a good shot of winning today. Because I would much rather see Quentin Williams beat us with his arm versus beat us with his legs. And I think you have a very talented secondary that's going to fly around, a secondary that's very deep that's going to fly around and make plays. And then also too, it goes key victor number 3 is it just goes back to what Rudy Hubbard has said to Willie Simmons and what he has said to this team. Don't be bigger than the moment. The moment is in front of you. Keep the emotions in check. Don't try to elevate yourself above the moment. Stay in the moment. This is the most important game because it's the next one. Which is, Willie Simmons has said this, and honestly, it goes back to, I know some of you may have varying opinions of Tom Brady, but it's what Tom Brady has always said. The most important ring is the next one. Don't be bigger than the moment. Don't be bigger than the team. To control what you have to control. And that goes for everybody. That goes for coaches, players, team personnel, everyone. Keep the emotions in check. Everything will take care of itself. Now, honestly, yeah, for those watching though too, also, drop your score predictions in the comment section as well on YouTube or on Facebook as well. I'm going to go ahead and give mine. Ace gave his Wednesday night. He said FAMU would win 38-27, which is fairly accurate. I'm going to go ahead and go on my limb, and I'm going to say I think FAMU will win today. When we started this back in August, when I did the pregame breakdown, or not pregame, the preseason breakdown, I said FAMU would. I said FAMU. My prediction was for FAMU to go 9-2, and I said the ceiling though would be 12-1, but I said the floor would be 8-3 if this team just fell off the rails. I'm glad to say that my prediction and my floor were wrong. I'm hoping that after today, what I predicted for the ceiling for this team holds true. So I think FAMU will win today, and I think FAMU will end the MEAC's run of dominance, because I do think FAMU is the hired gun that Charles McClellan's been waiting for. 31-27 or 31. Oh my gosh, 31-21. Okay, FAMU wins. I can get with it. Everyone's in the same neighborhood, honestly. So I'm with it. This is what I think is going to happen. I think because, again, Howard's going to make plays. That's fine. FAMU's going to make plays. It's fine. And I will say this before I do get out of here. The one thing that I've noticed in Celebration Bowls past, especially the past couple of years, is as follows. If you look at it, I look at last year's North Carolina Central, they matched Jackson State's intensity. And Jackson State, played with that hunger and stuff of what you expected going out. But I think they just had too many distractions. I look at the year before. South Carolina State played with a lot of hunger, and Jackson State was not expecting to get punched in the mouth like that. And they never really responded or recuperated. I went back even further to 2019 before COVID and looked at A&T's game against Alcorn. Both of them, actually. A&T was just more physical. Much more physical. I look at the one game the MEAC or the SWAC did win with Grambling. You had a star-studded team that was very physical in Grambling. So I think really, to sum it up, SWAC has not been totally as physical, aside from really last year in these games and the Kincaid year for Grambling. I just don't think the SWAC was as physical. So I think today it changes. Hey, if I'm wrong and this ends up being a screenshot, then you know what? It is what it is. I don't care. But overall, folks, that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for having joined us all season long. This has been fantastic. We appreciate all of you guys watching, even those of you that were watching on Twitter that couldn't get a comment in. And those of you watching on Facebook, next year we will have Instagram live as well. So those of you watching that follow us on Instagram through IG will be able to also watch on Instagram Live as we do this. And that's the beautiful thing about a new frontier opening up for 2024. So we're excited for that. So hopefully next week's episode of the Running Gun podcast will be available to be used on Instagram too. So that's what we'd like to see. But yeah, so that's going to do it for me, folks. Make sure you enjoy the game. If you're watching right now in Atlanta, we got about 15 minutes before kickoff. So, get comfy, enjoy today, enjoy Atlanta, be safe, make smart decisions, do the whole 9. There will be post-game reaction after this, so don't go anywhere. Make sure you come right back here. Regardless, win, lose, or draw, we will be reacting to this, and we're going to talk about it. What went right, what went wrong, as you already know. We're also going to recap the season, and we will also look ahead to 2024 as far as who's coming back, who's not, what does the schedule look like, because we already know right now 2024 FAMU plays Troy, who played for the Sun Belt title, and FAMU plays Miami down in Miami. There will be no Orange Blossom Classic next year. We know FAMU opens up with Norfolk next year as well too. So we're going to talk about all of it. We're going to talk about what's the homecoming game, when is the Florida Classic, all that stuff. So thank you so much. We will see you after the game, and enjoy the rest of the next 15 minutes of the morning. So yeah, take care.